Hey folks, welcome. Here we discuss real stories by real people. Today we have the story of a man who finds his wife has been having an affair for a year. Let's see how it goes. I'm 34 male, been with my wife, 32 female, for almost 10 years. We've been married for 5, no kids, just a dog named Rufus. About 6 months ago, subtle changes in her behavior started catching my attention. It began innocuously enough. She would spend more time on her phone, smiling at it, turning it face down when setting it on the table, etc. At first, it didn't register in my brain, but soon I started taking notice and it made me uncomfortable. As the weeks passed, the changes became more pronounced. She started coming home late, saying there were work emergencies and sudden project deadlines that never seemed to end. Her excuses were plausible, but the frequency and timing were suspicious. One night, while she was in the shower, I decided to grab her phone off the charger and snooped. It was pretty easy to guess her phone's PIN code, as it was her late brother's birthday. And there it was. Texts that were clearly not safe for work from a guy named Davis. It was sickening. There were months and months of old messages, dating back to at least a year. They've also been sleeping with each other for pretty much the whole time, from what I understood. I confronted her, and after some back and forth, she accepted it. In fact, she looked relieved. She said she hadn't been happy for a long time and that Davis made her feel alive again. She said I'd gotten used to taking her for granted and didn't treasure her anymore. I admit our relationship had slowed down. Sex was still good and frequent, but I guess the fire had stopped burning strong. But I believed we had a great relationship. Apparently not. We argued for what seemed like hours. She cried, said she was sorry, but it was clear to me that she wasn't sorry for cheating. She was sorry for getting caught. I told her to go to her mother's place while we take some time off away from each other, and she didn't argue again. I watched her pack a bag and disappear. I watched her walk out the door, and I felt a strange mix of anger, betrayal, and, oddly enough, relief. It's been a few weeks now. I filed for divorce. The house feels empty without her. But Rufus has been a great comfort. I've started seeing a therapist. I'm trying to make sense of everything. It's hard, but I'm getting through it, one day at a time. Thoughts? Update 1. It's been about 2 weeks since my last post. Things have been tough, but I'm starting to find my footing again. The divorce is moving along, and it's been mostly civil. We agreed on splitting our assets, and she's moving in with Davis. I found a new place. It's smaller, but it's mine. Rufus seems to like it too, which is a plus. I've been focusing on myself, hitting the gym, reconnecting with old friends that my wife disliked. I ran into her a few days ago while grocery shopping. She wanted to talk. Her mother wanted her to move out, and she asked if I'd like to have her till the divorce is finalized. I said no, and she looked almost heartbroken. I didn't ask her why she can't move in with Davis. Is it premature to think maybe he ran for the hills when she left me and wanted to make it official with him? Therapy has been a game changer. My therapist helped me see that her cheating wasn't about me, but about her. It's a tough pill to swallow, but I'm getting there. I still have my bad days, but they're getting fewer and further between. Update 2. It's been 6 months since D-Day. Life is better, much better. The divorce is finalized. She's with Davis. From what I heard, he's a deadbeat dad with 3 kids from 3 different women, and I assume he owes thousands in back child support. I'm not surprised. Sleazebags who sleep with married women are hardly exemplary characters. I doubt my ex will last with him, though, but for the time being, he's the only one in her corner. Everybody else is keeping their distance from her, including her mother. Karma, I guess. I've started dating again. Nothing serious, just putting myself out there. It's been fun and a good distraction. I'm learning to enjoy my own company and embrace this new chapter of my life. Looking back, I realize how much I lost myself in that relationship. Her cheating was a wake-up call. I'm not saying it was a blessing in disguise, but it did force me to reevaluate my life and make some much-needed changes. To anyone going through this, it sucks. No sugarcoating that, but you will get through it. Focus on yourself, lean on your friends and family, and don't be afraid to seek help. Life goes on, and it does get better. Thanks for listening, everyone. This community has been a lifeline. Have a nice life. Now for comments. I'm really sorry you had to go through that. It sounds like you're handling everything with a lot of strength and dignity. Therapy is a great move, and it's awesome to hear you're focusing on yourself and getting back out there. It's not easy, but it seems like you're on the right path. Keep it up. I know it doesn't feel like it now, but you're doing amazingly well. Your ex sounds like a piece of work, and it's her loss. It's great to see you're taking care of yourself and Rufus. Remember, you deserve someone who values and respects you. Your progress is inspiring. Keep focusing on your healing and happiness. You've got this, and better days are ahead. Story 2. 13 years together, 5 years married, 3-year-old son. She wants out. My wife, 32 female, and I, 32 male, have been together for 13 years, and we were madly in love for most of it. We traveled South America together, went to university together, had our entire grown-up lives together. We got married 5 years ago and had our beautiful child 2 years later. He's now 3.5 years old. I now believe things started falling apart about a year after he was born. I worked my ass off and was very career-oriented. She always wanted to work with children, so she opened a daycare with our son as one of the kids in it just to stay with him a bit longer. She took care of him about 80% of the time, and I barely had 20% of responsibility over him. Problem is, it seemed like everyone was happy with the arrangement, except she wasn't. She started resenting the fact I'm not helping enough with raising him, but only told me about it every few months when we had a big fight. I would try my best to do more, be with them more, work less, but in her eyes it was always too little. My wife trains in MMA. Yeah, she's a badass, and started training for her black belt test around August 2019. She worked her butt off training for it while I stayed home with our son for about 3 to 4 nights a week. I thought I'm empowering her and letting her do what she loves. I now know that she started seeing these trainings and her friends from there as a replacement for the things she wanted to get from me. While she was training, she became very good friends with a guy who trained with her. I encouraged it because he was a really nice guy, has a wife and 3 daughters, and I also became very good friends with him and his wife. We got together during weekends and our families grew really close, as my wife and him were also getting close as friends and training partners. Then came 2020. My wife got injured and tore her ACL during training. She had to go through surgery in early February and couldn't try out for the black belt she so desperately wanted. We had her daycare in-house, which was now running with a replacement we brought to do my wife's job. I started working from home during March due to COVID, and I also got a promotion at work, which meant more work along with taking care of my injured wife and our son. She became depressed in ways I was not aware of. I worked long hours to justify my promotion and to avoid having to deal with real life. I always thought our situation is temporary, and as soon as COVID ends and she gets back on her feet, we'll go back to being the great couple we always were. Around mid-September, I noticed her texting frantically with someone and acting very strange. I went to bed that night and couldn't shut my eyes for a second. I considered reading her texts, but gave up on it. The morning after, I asked her if she was cheating on me. She didn't respond. I asked if it was with our mutual friend, the guy from training. She didn't respond. Eventually, she told me they were getting really close in a romantic way during the last few months, and that they kissed a week before I found out. Ever since, my life is just one big turmoil. I decided I want to stay and fight for the love of my life. I decided I'll move out of the house so we can each have our space. Big mistake in hindsight, but I also started taking our son twice a week after kindergarten and hanging out with him a lot. I started working on myself and go to therapy. And I also started taking real interest in her and her life. But it was all too little, too late in her mind. After a roller coaster of emotions, arguments, hugs, kisses, and sex, she decided she wants a divorce. Although she admits she still loves me, is attracted to me sexually, and thinks I'm a great father, she doesn't want to give it a second chance. She's using different excuses as to why not give it a try on different occasions. Most of the time, she says we're not a good fit anymore in terms of our expectations from one another. Other times, she mentions my mom and the way I allow her to intervene in our life as a reason. Sometimes it's just the fact she's afraid to get hurt again. Her close family knows about what she did, and I feel that in some way she must justify it to herself and her family by getting a divorce. Anyway, I'm now at the early stages of my acceptance. I stopped bargaining, or even begging, with her and told her I would give her what she wants. We even went to a first mediation session. It's all moving way too fast for me, but it's what she wants and there's nothing I can do about it. These days I swing from hating her for everything she did and how she handled things and betrayed my trust to missing her so much and wanting to let her know how much I still love her and will always be there for her. It's really tough. I think the worst part for me is I'm a long way from getting over her. Sometimes my mind is so desperate that I tell myself we're only going through this divorce because she feels bad about what she did and that we'll get back together after the divorce. So pathetic. We are now very amicable and speak daily. I moved close to our home, so I get to come there a lot and spend time with our son. In 2 months, both of us will be moving to different homes. She moves to a different, close-by city to stay with her brother for the short term, until she decides where to live permanently. She also decided to close her daycare mid-year and notified the parents about it, as part of her overall midlife manic crisis. She claims she can't bear staying at our mutual home with all her photos and memories as to why she's shutting it down and moving out. I guess it's not my problem anymore. Sorry for the long, sometimes incoherent rant. English is not my native language, and I just wrote everything straight out of my heart. I'd love to hear any thoughts or suggestions, though please keep in mind it's still a very delicate situation, and we're not even close to being past it. So go easy on me. Adults do not stop at kissing, OP. It's most likely a full-blown sexual affair. She's in limerence. Affair fog, whatever you call it. She's not thinking straight. She's thrown away her marriage and child for a man. They've discussed ending things. I doubt it'll last long considering the numerous apps available designed for secrecy, like Snapchat, for example. Expect her to come crawling back to you again within a year or two, whether you're ready to get back together or not. Do not take her back. That will be the biggest mistake of your life. Focus on your own growth and personal life for now.